Hello everyone, welcome to Software Testing Online Training by softwaretestinghelp.org. In this today's demo session, I'm going to talk about three topics. One is introduction to instructor, roadmap of the entire course, and then today's demo session overview. I'll be taking one of the topic for today's demo session and then talk about that particular topic. So let's start with the first one, introduction to instructor. So let me introduce myself. I'm Ashok, having 13 years of experience in software industry as a software test manager, presently working as a software test manager in India. And out of 13 years, I was in North America for 2 years and worked at the client location. Apart from this 13 years in the software industry, I also have 3+ years of training experience as a trainer, which I do for online training. So overall, 16 years of experience into my profile, 13 years into software testing, and 3+ years into software training. This is just brief about my profile. And moving on, roadmap of the entire course. So before talking about the roadmap of the entire course, for whom this course is targeted for. So the participants of this training can be either from a graduates or a BE or BTech graduates who completed their graduation or just finished their BE or BTech, who would like to start their career in software industry as a software tester can go for choosing this training. And also for the guys who are into non-IT background and would like to change their career into IT background as a software tester, even they also can choose for this particular course as a software testing. Also, the guys who are already into software industry, working into software testing or are working into software development and would like to re-enhance their skills into software testing, even those guys also can enroll for this particular software testing course. Basically, this course we have planned for 5 weeks. The total course tenure we actually planned for 5 weeks, and we are planning to have 3 days per week. Okay. And we'll be having classes 3 days per week. That would be Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. So we are planning to have 3 classes per week, that on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. And this class is basically planned for 2 hours per day. And we plan to have every session 2 hours for each day. And out of these 2 hours, we'll plan for 1 hour 30 minutes. We'll have a discussion on the particular topic, and remaining 30 hours, we'll be using the last 30 minutes of our time for the clarifications of the questions, whatever you guys having. It would be like questions and answers or the clarifications of your doubts based on topic, whatever we have discussed. So we also learn by doing the assignments. I'll be giving an assignments for all of you guys on day-to-day activities. So I'll be also reviewing the assignments that will be done by you, and also use this 30 minutes of time for providing a feedback on the assignments that are being given to you for the discussion. So this course basically will have participants from all the combinations, like the guys who are fresh graduates, and the guys who have experience in non-IT background, and also we have the guys who are already into IT background and would like to change the career to software testing or re-enhance their skills into software testing. So here we'll be starting this with the fundamentals with the strong fundamentals, and then move on to the advanced with the real-time practical experience. Okay. And this course is, as said, is targeted for 5 weeks. So I'm just trying to, show you guys the schedule, how we actually plan for 5 weeks and what are we trying to cover in each week. So The week one, so we are planning to talk about SDLC models. So what is SDLC? SDLC is nothing but software development lifecycle. Software industry has its own, development lifecycle, and it has their own model. So SDLC is nothing but where exactly the software is going to start and what are the phases of the software, in each phase what we are going to do, and what are the different models of SDLC what we have. We are going to discuss about them under the week one in the SDLC. In SDLC also we have so many different SDLC models. We'll talk about each and every SD models like the waterfall model, V model, agile model, and what is the difference between each model and which model is the best suit for type of the nature of the project you guys are working on. And also we'll talk about STLC. STLC is nothing but software testing lifecycle, where STLC is one of the part of STLC itself. So we'll talk about what is software testing lifecycle and what are the different phases we have and how do we plan for the testing activities under STLC. And we also talk about different kinds of testing, what are the different kinds of testings we do, and we also talk about test planning. So how to create a test plan, and what are the components in the test plan, what we write in test plan. We also talk about the test planning in the week one. On week two, we talk about test documentation, like what are the documentation that you guys have to prepare for the testing. Test environment setup. So why we need to have a separate environment for the testing. So what is exactly the environment, and how many different types of environments we have, and what is the difference between each environment. We also will talk about the test environment part. And we also talk about that what is test data, why we need test data, okay, and how to plan for having a master test data sheet, and how do we manage it, and how do we distribute it across the teams to use the test data. And we also talk about test cases, what are the different test cases, methodologies we have, what is the test case, what it contains, and why do we need to write a test case, and what are the different methodologies to write the test case. We'll talk about that. And then we'll also talk about entire flow of test execution. So what is test execution, when to start the test execution, and how to plan the test execution planning, and all the stuff also we'll talk about in the week 2 session. Coming on week 3, we'll talk about test reporting metrics. What are the reports that are generally used in the testing to update the management about the testing, what's going on, and what is the status of test execution, how many bugs found, how many bugs are opened, like that. We'll talk about in detail about the test reporting and what are the different metrics that we follow. And we also talk about the defect management. This is the most important thing as well in the testing. So what is a defect, and then how to raise a defect, how to test the defect, all these things we'll talk about in the defect management. And then we also talk about traceability matrix. How are we tracing our testing from against the requirements? We'll also talk about the traceability matrix. So, and as said, the test environment, we have different environments. We'll talk about UAT, pre-prod, production environment. So we'll talk about what is a UAT, nothing but user acceptance test, and then pre-prod, what is pre-prod, what is prod environments, and we'll talk about all the different environments. Why do we need to maintain separate environments in the testing? And also we'll talk about in detail about each environment, what is UAT, what is pre-prod, and why you need test, UAT, and pre-prod, all 3 or 4 different environments based on the project. And then we also talk about change management and other miscellaneous topic. Anything, what is the change? When we have something like defect management and change request management. So what is the difference between defect and the change request? How do we cooperate the change management into the system? We'll talk about that under week 3. On week 4, we'll be completely moving on to the tools. Basically, now we learn the defect management and all the things. Now we'll talk about defect management tools like Jira and Bugzilla. So when I say you guys get a defect, what you do, you basically raise a defect. You guys raise a defect in any of the defect management tool. So we have something called Jira and Bugzilla where you guys are going to raise the defect. We'll show you in detail how to download Jira and how to raise a defect and how to test the defect, along with the Jira and as well as the Bugzilla. So we'll be using both the tools for the defect management tool. And test management tools like TestLink. We'll be talking about TestLink and any other one of the tool as well for the test management, where test management tool basically used for storing the test cases, requirements, storing the test cases, and it also used for test execution of your test cases. So we'll talk about using one of the tool like TestLink, and we move on with the live project. So this course also contains something live project where we give you guys one of the live project and we ask you to work as you guys work in the real-time environment, like in your company when you go to your company and what exactly it starts with your project. Similarly, we'll be trying to give you guys hands-on experience before joining the job itself by giving you the live project where you understand the requirements, you write the test scenarios, write the test cases, execute them, and log a defect. So this will give you complete hands-on with the real-time kind of exposure when you actually go to the project in your company once you join. It would be exact same what we guys do in the project, and you guys would be experienced before going to the project with the live project. In week 5, we also help you guys in preparing the resumes, and as well we also take some mock interviews and we provide guidance on the certification. So in resume, basically what should you guys write in your resume and what you should not write in your resume, how your resume should look like, and what are the certification that is better for you, which gives you most weightage for your resume to shortlist. I mean to say it would be value added to your resume, and we'll also try to help you out on resume preparation and the certification part. We also take mock interviews so that you guys would be having kind of experience, like how to attend the interviews and what type of questions that those guys are going to be asking in. We also provide FAQs, nothing but frequently asked question. Basically, we cover it in the mock interview itself, whatever is needed. And also, we provide support for every individual once the training is completed or once training is still going on. Any clarifications that you guys are going on, we'll be helping you out in your clarifications, whatever you guys are having. Okay, and apart from that, anything if you feel we were not able to complete it, we'll be catching up it in the week 5. So this is entire course curriculum starts with week 1 to week 5, and as said, it basically starts with 5-week session, 3 days per week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 2 hours per day. So this is about entire roadmap of our entire course. Okay, and today's demo, before going on to the today's demo, let's understand why should I go for softwaretestinghelp.com. So as said, it basically provides training from well experienced working professionals. Okay, and it's completely live hands-on training sessions. As said, we'll be providing assignments and we'll be reviewing the assignments, whatever you guys have done. And course content, considering the current job market, we always enhance our course content based on the recent demands in the market. So practical assignments at the end of every session, we'll be giving the practical assignments at the end of every session. Also, we are giving you the live project as well, where you guys will completely get, it's a complete pure practical thing that you guys would be learning. End-to-end live project covered, like I said, software testing lifecycle. We'll cover you everything, whatever is going to happen from SDLC using the live project. We also provide course completion certificate once you guys have completed your course, stating that you guys have completed the course certification from softwaretestinghelp.com. And we also give you ebook and ISTQB study guide for free as a bonus. Okay. And you guys can utilize this ebook and ISTQB certification guide for clearing the certification part. You always have video access for your live sessions. Whatever the sessions we are learning here, we'll be recording it, and then you guys will always have access to these live sessions whenever you guys would like to, listen it again. You guys can just go and use that live sessions videos that are being shared with you. As said, email support for your queries even after the course is completed. Anything that you guys have any clarifications needed, you guys can send an email and we'll respond you back with the clarifications, whatever questions you have. And we also help you in resume preparation, interview guidance sessions also included. As said, we'll conduct the mock interviews and also help you in the resume preparations. Okay. There are so many reasons why to choose for softwaretestinghelp.com. Okay. And so we just covered introduction to instructor, roadmap, and why software testing help. And now we'll talk about today's demo session. So I would like to talk about types of software testing. So before talking about types of software testing, the first thing what I would like to explain you guys is what is software testing basically. So why we need to do a software testing, or in simple term, what are the objectives of software testing? So what are the major objectives of software testing and what is software testing? So software testing is a process of executing a program with intention of finding a defect. So it's execution of a program with intent of finding a defect. So what program we are trying to execute? Whatever the program that is written by the developer, we are trying to execute that program with intent to find the defect. So major objective of software testing is finding defects. Okay, what is defect basically? So defect is nothing but anything that is not meeting the requirement. So let's take an example. Client says that his if you're working for an ATM testing, let's take an ATM is your application, and where the requirement is, client says if you guys enter wrong PIN number more than 3 times after inserting your card, your account should be locked. So this is what my client requirement is. So what is expected result? When I insert my card, enter wrong PIN for more than 3 times, my account should be locked. But what is happening, even after wrong PIN entered for more than 3 times, when I enter 4th time also, my account is not getting locked. So there is a deviation between what is being expected and what is actually it is doing. So wherever you see there is a deviation between the actual result with the expected result, then you're going to call it as a defect. So major intention and objective of the software testing is finding the defect. And second thing is make sure application is meeting with client requirement. So make sure client application meeting. When I say whatever client is requesting to us, so we have to make sure that what client is needed, what development team is developed, is meeting the client requirement. So one of the example I just gave, when you enter the PIN for more than 3 times, your account should be locked, whether it's really locking or not. So you have to make sure it is meeting the client requirements as well. And another objective of software testing is to prevent defects. So prevent defects are nothing but we would like to prevent the defects from the end user. We don't want end user would be facing defects and where we'll be losing the confidence, right? From the customer's point of view. So we would like to prevent the defects as much as possible, so that we don't want any defects to be triggered, and we don't want any troubling or issues to be faced by the end user itself. So how are we preventing? We are trying to do the testing, so that as much as possible find the defects and fix them and retest it and make sure there are no much defects, and then client is prevented from the defects with actual users. Okay, so these are the major objectives why we have to do the software testing. And also one more thing is to deliver the quality of the project, right? So quality is most important thing in the market, particularly in competitive market. So if you deliver the quality to the client, then only you'll be in the business, or you can expect more business from the client. So to deliver the quality of the product, we have to do the testing. So these are the major objectives of the software testing: finding the defects and making sure system is meeting the client requirements, and prevent the defects and provide the quality of the system with the quality. And coming on to types of software testing, there are two types of testing we have. One is black box testing, and another one is white box testing. So we have two different types. Let's talk about the black box testing. So if you look at this diagram here, which is completely in the block. So black box testing is what you guys do in black box testing. You guys just give an input, okay? Your input be given to your program, and then the program executes, and then it gives you the output. So as you guys look at, it's completely black box. We really don't know what is happening inside the box. We really don't know what is happening inside the black box. We only know what input we have to give and what output I supposed to get. Like an example, if you guys take an example of calculator, right? So let's say I have a calculator, and where I just enter some two numbers, 20 plus 20, right? And then I would just hit on equal to. So I'm getting a 40, but I really don't know what is happening inside the calculator, how it is calculating, what technology they have used, what is the coding logic that these guys have implemented to develop this calculator. It's a pure black box to us. So whatever you see is in the front end is the place where you guys give some input, and then you expect the output based on the input that you are providing. So you really don't know what is happening. Consider this is as your calculator, and you are entering some two numbers for addition, and you are giving that input. You expect the output. If you enter 20 plus 20, and your output should be 40. So this is what we are going to do in black box testing. In simple term, we really don't know internal architecture of the program. What is the logic that these guys have? I mean, when I say these guys, what is the logic that development team has written to implement to the system? We really don't know. We just bother about what to give an input and what to verify in the output. So if you guys look at in the white box testing, it's completely reverts to the black box testing. You guys can easily understand now when I say it reverts to the black box. In black box, you really don't know what is happening inside the black box, but when it comes to the white box testing, you really need to know what is happening inside the box. Nothing but you need to look at the code and what is the logic that is being written. You need to do the code reviews and understand the architecture of the application. Also, you need to understand the technology, on which technology the application is implemented. Unless you don't know the technology, it won't be that much easy to understand the coding that is written. So we are majorly responsible for doing the black box testing, but now the trend is slowly changing. We may be future needed to do the white box testing as well. In some situations, if you are already aware about the technology in which application is developed, then it's good to go with doing the white box testing as well, because you are already aware. Like say application is developed in Java, I am pretty good in Java, then it is good if you can go and do the white box testing as well. So this is about types of software testing. Okay, and moving on to software testing life cycle. So as said, STLC is nothing but software testing life cycle, where it basically it starts. So software testing life cycle basically part of SDLC as said. Let's take an example here. Let's talk about SDLC before talking about STLC. SDLC is nothing but software development lifecycle, and here how the software development lifecycle starts. So basically, it starts with understanding the requirements, okay, and then preparing the SRS document. I'll explain you guys each and everything, whatever I'm typing here, and then preparing the SRS, then design, coding, then testing. So here, understanding the requirement, preparing the SRS document, nothing but software requirement specification. So understanding the requirements is nothing but, when you guys are starting in a project, first you need to understand what are the requirements that the client is expecting to develop from us. So first go and meet the client and understand the requirement, what exactly you wanted to develop you guys for designing his application. So, and then once you guys have understand what exactly client is looking for, then put all the requirements in the document, which we call it as SRS, software requirement specification document. So who is responsible for, right? So who is the actor here? So actor would be BA. Business BA is nothing but business analyst. So business analyst role is he has to go and meet the client and understand the client requirement, what he is basically looking out for, and then put all those requirements in a particular document called SRS, software requirement specification. This would be generally a MS Word document, or it could be a PDF file where you guys would be putting all the requirement specification in that. And then it goes on for understanding requirements and preparing SRS document. Both are done by the business analyst itself. And next one is designing. So what are we trying to design here? You try to design the architecture of the application. So who will be responsible for this one is architect, who will be the responsible for this designing part. And once the application is designed, and then you guys go for coding. So who will be responsible for writing the coding to meet the client requirements is nothing but the development team. So development team starts writing the coding. Once the development team completes the preparation of the application, and then testing would start. So as you all guys are here for into the testing, so we are responsible here. So we are responsible for testing the application to make sure what all these things, to make sure to find a defect, to make sure all whatever we talked about, all the 4 things here is responsibility of the tester. So once testing is done, and then we would call it as a maintenance. So who is responsible for maintenance? I would say support team. Support or operations team, what we call. Okay, so maintenance team would be responsible. Once we test it, everything is working fine, then we'll say that just move it into the production. So this is what the SDLC is, nothing but software development life cycle. Starts with understanding the understanding the requirements, and then prepare the document. It's a role of the business analyst to do, and then the designing comes into the next phase, and where the architect is the guy who will be writing the designing the architect. Once the architect is completed, then you guys would go for, development team will go on writing the coding, and then once the coding is completed, we start with the testing, and then it goes on to the maintenance part. Now, coming on to our part as a tester, we have to plan testing, how we have to do, right? So software testing lifecycle, we just looked at SDLC, nothing but software development lifecycle. As said, test lifecycle is one of the part under the SDLC. Now, what are we going to consider in the software testing lifecycle? Okay, so what we start with the software test lifecycle, basically we start with I'm just trying to explain you guys about SDLC. Okay, it starts with test planning. So we try to initially start with the test planning. So what is test planning contains? It's again, as said, it's a document where you guys write what are you going to test, what are you guys not going to test, what is in scope and what is out of scope. Okay, and compatibility testing details. When I say compatibility testing, we need to do we need to test this application only in Windows operating system, or do we need to test this application in mobile also, like iOS, Android operating system? Is that in scope for us or not in scope? That also we'll be writing it. And what are the browsers, if it is a browser compatibility application, what are the browsers that we guys have to use? Is it only fine with the Chrome, or do you want to use it in Internet Explorer? What are the browsers that client is expecting us to do the testing? When to stop testing? When to start testing, and everything about environment details also we are going to write it here. Okay, basically, in order simple to say, it contains what is scope, what is out of scope. For scope is an example, like say client says to test it in Windows operating system, and he says that I don't need it to be tested in iOS. So in scope of testing is the Windows operating system, and out of scope would be all operating systems apart from Windows. In some situation, there could be different vendors also involved in testing, like company A and company B. The client is given it for two companies to testing. Like say module 1 is given to company A and module 2 is given to the company B. And if you guys are preparing a test plan for company A, you would say module 2 is not in your scope of the testing. In scope, out of scope, that's what you guys are going to write in test planning. Okay. And you guys also will be writing here entry criteria and as well as exit criteria. So what do you mean by entry criteria? When we should be able to when we should start the testing, what are the things it should qualify in starting the testing? What is the exit testing? So exit testing is nothing but when you guys have to say release it to the production. So we are done thorough testing and not found much defects, everything looks fine, and typically that would be writing it in the exit criteria. However, since it's a demo, I cannot put everything about the test planning, so I'm just trying to brief you guys on the test planning. So after test planning, now every individual tester will start understanding the SRS document. SRS is nothing but software requirement specification document, as said, where you guys would be writing, business analyst would be writing all the requirements, whatever is client is looking for. So here, what you guys will be doing is understanding the requirements. And then once you understand the requirements, once you start reading the requirements, you will obviously get some questions. Raise questions / your doubts or whatever, clarification. So you guys get a requirement and you go through the requirement document, you guys would get clarification. Let's take the same example. If you insert your ATM card in ATM, enter wrong PIN for more than 3 times and your account should be locked. But they didn't talk about anything when account would be activated. Now I entered PIN wrong 3 times wrong. So it is logged. Is it logged only for 24 hours, or do I need to visit to the bank to activate? What is the process to activate it, or does it would be activated on its own after 24 hours? So like this, you guys would always get some questions when you guys start reading the SRS document. So once you guys have understand the software requirement specifications, once your doubts are clarified, then the third step would be we will be writing test scenarios as test cases. Okay, so whatever you guys have understood from the requirement specification document, and then you guys go ahead and start writing the test scenarios. Test scenario, let's take an example. If you wanted to test the login functionality of your application, let's say Yahoo is your application, and where you guys would like to test the application whether it's logging in successfully or not. You guys can create one test scenario which is called verify login functionality. Under the test scenario, you guys would be writing a couple of test cases. Okay, and once test scenario and test cases are prepared, so what are we going to write? Let's take an example. Under test scenarios, as said, login, I would write one test scenario saying that verify login. So this is what my scenario is. Under this, I'll be writing one test case, enter valid user ID and password. This is one test case. Second test case, enter valid user ID and wrong password. Like this, I would keep on writing the test cases for one test scenario. So maybe a little bit confusing. What is the test scenario and test case? So for every requirement, like say login is one of the requirement from the client. So for every requirement, you guys would write one test scenario. So I have one test scenario where one requirement is to verify the login. So I would write one test scenario which is called verify login, and for this I would write multiple test cases. So one scenario can contain multiple test cases. Verify valid user ID and valid password is given, you are able to log in successfully. That's one test case. Another test case, verify valid user ID given but password is wrong, what should behave? So like this, you guys would keep on writing the test scenarios under the test cases. And the fourth one would be test execution. And the next step, what you guys would be doing is test execution. So what you guys would be doing in test execution is, once the application is ready for you guys to test it, you take all these test cases or test scenarios, whatever you have taken, and start executing them on your application. Then once you start executing the application, you guys always see some defects, like say after entering the valid user ID and valid password, system still not allowing you to log in. It's a defect. Though you are giving right user ID and right password, the system is still not allowing you to log in. It's a defect. Then you just go for raising defects. So once you guys raise the defect, then defect team, development team will fix it, retest the defect, and take the decision go/no go. Go no go is nothing but is the application is really ready to go to the production. If you say it's ready to go, if it is not ready to go, you always say no go. So it will not be deployed to the production. So this is how the testing life cycle, what we do in day-to-day activities as a tester, this is what is being given here. So it starts with test planning. Test planning basically contains two brief. It contains scope, out of scope, entry criteria, exit criteria. And there are a lot of other things we'll discuss in detail when we write. We also write a test plan. As said, we'll give you live project. We'll write a test plan for that live project. And then understand the client requirements in the document that is given to you is SRS, and then raise your questions, doubts and clarifications, and then go ahead writing the test scenarios, execute them, and raise the defect. Defect, as said, if anything, the actual result is not meeting with the expected result, then you guys can go ahead and raise the defects. Once the defects are fixed, retest the defects and then make a decision, go and no. Basically, go and no go decision will be taken by your test manager. Okay. So thanks guys for all your time. I hope this session would be helpful to you to decide on choosing your career in IT software testing and start participating in this particular training. Thank you so much guys, and we'll catch up in the next sessions.